Hello and welcome to VR Reviews. As much as I wish it wasn't, it's 2025. So it's time to look at my top 10 figures from 2024. If you've seen one of these videos before, you'll know that I have a specific rule set whenever it comes to my top 10s. I only allow one figure from each line of each company's making. So I can have multiple figure arts on here, for example, but they will all be from different animes, just to keep the list more varied. I don't include any repaints or reissues, and of course the figure must have been released in 2024. Also keep in mind that this list is purely personal preference of mine and is fairly arbitrary and just up to the whims of whatever I felt like whenever I made the list. And with all that out of the way, let's go ahead and get into the list. A quick honorable mention to Storm Collectibles Shiva. I ended up selling her before I had a chance to make this video. I mostly got out of the Mortal Kombat game, but she's a really good figure, so if you like Mortal Kombat, there's something good to pick up. Number 10 is the Total Anime Ken Kaneki from Tokyo Ghoul. Personally, I think this is probably the best domestically produced anime figure I've ever had. For whatever reason, US companies tend to be pretty bad at making anime figures, especially looking at you, McFarlane. But this one is pretty decent. He benefits a lot from the fact that he has a mask on, so you don't have to see a face sculpt. But even his normal faces that he comes with are fine. He's got good articulation, his back tentacles are all on bendy wires, and you can pose them around. He just looks really good. He's not quite of import quality, but for a $20 figure, he's really nice and worth picking up if you do like Tokyo Ghoul, and he's much easier to get a hold of than the Super Action statue, which is really the only other option. Number 9 is Storm Collectibles Yujiro from Baki. I know last year I specifically said that I expected Yujiro to be on this list, and he is. He's a little bit lower than I was expecting him to be. There's something about this figure that I can't quite put my finger on that makes me not like him as much as I liked Baki. I know I ranked Baki much higher than this last year. My only direct complaints are pretty minor. He's not quite as tall as I think he should be, and his clothes are an absolute pain in the ass to put on and take off. Otherwise, he's pretty standard Storm Collectibles fare. He's really well articulated. He's a big, bulky figure. If you've had other Storm stuff before, he feels like they do. With the new Storm Arena stuff coming out, I fully expect that they may make another Yujiro, but I think this one will scale better with the smaller Baki that they're making, so I'm probably going to keep this one and get the new Baki. And I also probably expect that the new Baki will be on my list next year. Number 9 is the Nendoroid Lamb from Cult of the Lamb. I pretty much only get Nendos whenever the Nendoroid style fits the style of the original source material, and for Cult of the Lamb, this perfectly works as just a normal lamb figure. There are already small body, big head things in the game, so this works fine. I wouldn't say that the lamb is particularly special among Nendos. He's pretty basic. He's got an average amount of accessories and faces and stuff, but he's pulled off really well and he executes the style well, and I like that game, so he's on the list. That's pretty much it. Moving on. Number 7 is SH Figuarts Tanjiro from Demon Slayer. Now, I have not watched Demon Slayer yet. It's on the list. I'll probably get around to it at some point. I'll probably like it since I like most shonen things. But this figure is surprisingly good. I really only got it because it was $35 and I was curious. But he's really good. If I had seen Demon Slayer, I would probably put him really close to the top of the list. I was surprised by how good he is. He's really nicely articulated, and he has unique articulation structure that I've not seen on any other figures. He's got a good amount of faces and accessories and everything. He's surprisingly good, especially for a budget release. He's better than plenty of much higher price figures that I've seen. So if you like Demon Slayer, I would 100% recommend getting this. Number 6 is SH Figuarts Dot Barrett from Mashley. I picked up all the SHFs from this line in 2024, but Dot is the only one that actually came out in 2024, so he's the one that gets to be on the list. All the figures are honestly pretty much exactly the same. Their bodies are all very, very similar. But they're all very well articulated. The robes obviously get in the way a little bit, and you would pretty much expect that from anything that's got a plastic robe. But otherwise, I have no substantial complaints. If you like Mashley, you should definitely get these, and I wish they would make more. I wish they would have at least made Finn, but I'm guessing that the line is dead now. Just knowing how Bandai does things. Number 5 is the Polynesian, and I looked up how to pronounce this because I honestly had no idea. Google says it's pronounced Macahan. Before now, I had been basically pronouncing it Mashan, kind of like the Walking Dead character, but according to Google, it's Macahan. I don't know if that's correct either in reference to the Polynesian, but it's the best thing I have to go off of. This is the large male model, so like the male equivalent of Yana. So he's got a larger bulge and wider hips, and they put nipples on this one. And he's quite cute. I like him. It's always nice to have a new nude Polynesian design. Those are the ones that I prefer. They move the best, and they have less little finicky parts to fall off. I don't have anything particularly interesting to say about him. If you've had a Polynesian before, they're all kind of very similar in terms of how they function. Shamrock is still my favorite one, but this is a good second place as far as the nude ones go. Number 4 is SH Figuarts Gojo from the Hidden Inventory arc. There weren't a lot of Jujutsu Kaisen releases this year. I think just him and Gato, and Gato had like some face issues, so he did not make the cut for the list. I'm concerned about the line, and I'm worrying that it's dead, which would suck a lot, because I would really like some more figures. But for now, we could talk about Gojo. He's a relatively basic figure in the line, but he's executed very well. He comes with his glasses and a standard array of hands. Some nice faces. Articulation's pretty standard. He mostly places high on the list because I like Gojo and because Jujutsu Kaisen is like one of my favorite anime, and Hidden Inventory is actually probably one of the best parts of the whole series. So he gets to be fairly high on the list. I think they're also reissuing him, or maybe even already have. So it would be a good time to pick him up if you haven't gotten one already, because I know he was really expensive for a while before they announced the reissue. And I just have to hope that these are not the end of the line, because there are various things that I would still like to have, especially Mahito. Moving on to number 3, and this is technically 2 figures because it's a 2-pack, but it is the Manipple Breaking Bad Walt and Jesse 2-pack in the lab outfits. Technically, you could argue that Walt is kind of reissue because the head is the same as the head from their solo release, but everything else is new, so I'm going to count it as a new release. The set itself comes with a large amount of accessories, lots of lab equipment and a table. It's got barrels, all kinds of shit. Of course, you get the full cloth outfits on the figures. The bodies themselves are like pretty basic 112 articulation. You can definitely do any kind of normal human being poses with them. And then the head sculpts are pretty good. Walt's is like pretty much spot on, and he's also got some of the best 112 scale glasses I've ever seen on a figure. And then Jesse's it's recognizable, but it's not perfect. The paintwork on both of them is really good, though. The likeness is just a little bit off for Aaron Paul. This is pretty much exactly what I would want from Breaking Bad figures, because I always like all the lab scenes and stuff. I know whenever I got the shitty old Mezco ones, I had the lab outfits for those too. So if you want Breaking Bad figures in 112 scale, this is like perfect. I have no idea how expensive they are to get hold of on the aftermarket. I know some Manipple stuff goes really high up after they're out of stock. But if you can find them and you like Breaking Bad, these are really cool things to have. Number 2 is SH Figuarts Super Saiyan Gohan. I feel like it's been forever since I've had a Dragon Ball figure on this list, which is funny whenever you look back at some of my older top 10 lists. But this is the first time I've had a really solid new Dragon Ball release in a while that managed to get on the list. Honestly, the only complaint I have about him at all is that he doesn't come with a Super Saiyan 2 head, but everything else about him is perfect, and he's such a massive upgrade from the 1.0, which is like one of the first figures they ever made. So he's a great improvement over that. All the modern Dragon Ball Figuarts architecture that you would expect. Got plenty of faces and hands. He's got one of the best cloth capes that I've had on a figure, and maybe ever. It's definitely better than any of them that I can remember off the top of my head. It feels thick and sturdy. The wire in it feels nice and sturdy, so you can pose it and don't have to worry about it breaking. The collar part is still sculpted, so it looks better than some of the like third-party capes that you'll see that try to use cloth for the shoulders and stuff. It does limit his head movement a little bit, but that's kind of to be expected. I really have nothing negative to say. If you want a like Cell Saga Gohan, this is what you should get. It's basically perfect other than not having a Super Saiyan 2 head. And number 1 is the Hero Toys Illidan Storm Rage, or I think that they just refer to it as Demon Hunter, maybe? as it's an unlicensed thing, so they have to call it something else. But either way, he's really, really cool, and Illidan is something that I've wanted like a proper articulated figure of for probably the entire time that I've been collecting figures. And there really haven't been any good options before now. You could get the Heroes of the Storm figure that NECA made, which was fine, but it's like not fully transformed Illidan, and it's kind of boring. But this is what I've always wanted, really. The sculpt work on the body and everything's like perfect, spot on. He uses cloth goods for the pants, and those are sturdy and they feel nice. He's got some big wings, and they are articulated, so you can fold those out a little bit. He comes with his warglaives and some other minor accessories like the Skull of Gul'dan. And an interesting thing about the Skull of Gul'dan is it's actually what you use to activate the LEDs in his eyes and in the Flame of Azzinoth that he comes with. It's got like a little magnet in it, and whenever you put it close to Illidan's head, his eyes light up. It's a very clever and cute way of doing it. I'll admit he's not the most posable thing in the world because he's kind of big and bulky, but I've been able to do pretty much everything I wanted to with him. And he's just very impressive to look at. And I think if you like Illidan and like Warcraft stuff, he's definitely worth picking up. It's also interesting to see all the like third-party Warcraft-esque stuff that's been coming out lately in general. I know somebody's making like Varian Wrynn. I've seen some Lich King stuff, some Sylvanas stuff, some like generic. There's loads of generic orcs and murlocs, and I saw some undead stuff. There's just been loads of Warcraft stuff coming out lately from unlicensed companies, and it's all quite cool. I'm not sure that there's anything coming out right now that I want, but I'm looking forward to seeing what else they decide to make. Because there are certainly other Warcraft characters that I would not mind having figures of. And that pretty much wraps it up for my top 10 figure list of 2024. I do actually have an idea for another video that I want to put out. So provided I get around to actually making that, this will not be the only video that I make this year, like it has been recently. And I think that's about it. I don't think I have anything else to say. So I hope you enjoyed some of the things. I enjoyed some of the things. And until next time, goodbye.